Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Narang and I am going to demonstrate how you can strip the Filtrete home furnace filter and harvest filter pieces for Samaritan masks. You can see here, this is Filtrete 2200 and it is a MERV 13 filter. The tools you're going to need are gloves, utility knife, scissors, and wire cutter. I want you to pay attention to this. This is MERV 13 filter, which filters out viruses. And next you are going to look at is the arrow which indicates the flow of air. This is important when you are going to be marking the filter when you cut the pieces out. You have to cut the edges of this filter using a utility knife. The cut is very close to the edges. Be very careful when you're doing this because the ends of the wires are sharp and you might hurt yourself if you are not wearing the gloves. So it is important to wear the gloves and control your utility knife well. Once you have cut all the four edges, you will be able to strip the casing which hides the ends of the wires and the glue which connects the wires and the casing to the filter material. The filter is 30 inches long and 20 inches wide. We need the filters which are 9 inches in length and 6 inches wide. As you can see, I'm trying to just separate out the casing here and I can lift that casing quite easily once it has been cut on the edges. So this is the way you strip the casing. And you can expose the edges of the filter. Next, you cut the wires using the wire cutter. This requires a little bit of patience, but it is easily done. You need to make sure that you do not damage the filter material and only cut the wires along the edge. This is almost close to the inner edge of the casing. Once you have cut all the four sides with a wire cutter, you will be able to lift off the wire mesh. It is as simple as that. Please keep your gloves on all the time while you are doing this process. There you see the mesh has been easily removed. Just discard it carefully. Do the same on the other side. Just lift off the casing, cut the wires, and lift off the mesh. This requires a little bit of patience and it may need a little bit of time, but the whole process from beginning to the end can be finished in under an hour. As you can see in this clip, the wires are being cut and the mesh will be lifted off. The mesh has been lifted off partly and it is going to be completely removed now. What I'm doing here is to just draw a line in 3 regions on top of the pleated material. So the pleated material will have dots on the top in 3 regions. This gives you an indication of which is the top of the filter. That corresponds to the arrow that we saw on the side. It indicates the flow of air. These are not actually measurements. This is just an indicator which is the right side of the filter and which is the wrong side of the filter when you are going to use it in making the masks. Once that has been done, you can remove the edges along the length of the filter on both sides. It does require a little bit of separation before you use the scissors, and that's not difficult, as you can see. Discard the materials, and again, just be careful about the wires. The filter material is easy to cut. As you can see, you can just glide along the filter material. You're not going to cut the short side of the filter material as yet. It is now time to actually do the measurements. You need to mark at 0, 9, 18, and 27 inches. This gives you a little bit of room along the edges to discard. You draw another line now at 9 inches, 18 inches, and 27 inches. Those will be the markings for actual cuts, because that will give you 9 inches length along the pleated material. Pay attention, the short edges are still attached. It keeps the filter intact while you are making these cuts. Makes it a little easier to manage. So here is the first cut along the edge. Pay attention to the dots, because that's very important to give a very uniform 9-inch material. I'm going to be making a second cut, which is 9 inches. Again, I'm going to use my scissors along the dots. This was the second set of markings, which were actual measurements. Earlier on, I also confirmed with my tape that it was 9 inches on the other side as well. So this way you cut 3 lengths of material, which is 9 inches apart, and you arrange them in a way that all the pleats match up and the edges match up. Once that is done, you can lift off the material and you have to cut the material. Now you need to measure 6 inches, which is 8 segments of the pleats. Each segment is 3/4 of an inch, and 8 segments will make it 6 inches. That's the measurement that you need. And when you are cutting these pieces, you do not even need to measure it, because the pleats help you to cut exactly 6 inches. So each piece is going to be 9 inches long and 6 inches wide, and it will have 8 segments of the pleats. You must notice that I have cut all three pieces simultaneously. You may use a paper cutting board. If you do not have one, you can use scissors. You end up with 45 pieces of MERV 13 filter, 9 inches by 6 inches, ready to be used in Samaritan masks. Just remember the markings that we made do indicate the orientation of the filter, which way the arrow points, and it has to be mounted in a certain way in the Samaritan mask to make sure that the mask is breathable and it is less effort for the individual wearing a mask in terms of breathability. I hope this has been useful. It is the most efficient way of doing it, and it is not as daunting as some other people have found. Thank you.